Why do you feel drained after speaking, even when you speak the truth? Why does explaining your life not bring clarity, but confusion? What if every time you talk about your struggles, you quietly give away your power? Tell me, when did your life become something you had to explain instead of live? Silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline. Most people speak to be understood, but the wise speak only when it strengthens their path. When you tell everyone what is happening in your life, you leak energy, invite judgment, and delay growth. Today, I will show you why restraint in speech is not suppression, but mastery. And if you carry this wisdom, you will move through life with clarity, stability, and unshakable inner strength. If you stop narrating your life and start living it with awareness, your mind will become quieter, your actions sharper, and your presence powerful, without saying a word. 1. Your life is not a story to perform. From the moment we are born, society whispers a narrative. It suggests that life must be observed, judged, and shared. That to exist fully, one must narrate every detail, justify every choice, and explain every experience. Yet the truth is quieter, subtler, and infinitely more powerful. Your life is not a story to perform. When you feel compelled to share everything, you are not expressing reality, you are performing it. Each word spoken, each detail revealed, is a performance for an audience that does not need to exist. Your energy disperses in the act of explanation. Your focus shifts from experience to presentation, and slowly, imperceptibly, the life you are living becomes secondary to the life you are showing. Notice how it feels when you recount your struggles, your victories, your plans, your fears. There is a temporary relief, yes, but there is also a subtle drain, a fragmenting of attention, a dilution of presence, a quiet surrender of energy to the expectations of others. Life, in its raw, unfiltered state, does not need validation. The river flows without telling anyone it exists. The wind moves across the mountains without a witness. The sun rises without announcing itself. The performance is an illusion of control. We speak to be understood, to be approved, to be recognized. Yet, in doing so, we relinquish control of our energy to the gaze, judgment, and perception of others. Every explanation becomes a silent contract, a transaction in which our vitality is exchanged for acknowledgement. True life is not performed. It is experienced. Its lessons are absorbed silently. Its growth occurs imperceptibly. Its impact is felt rather than broadcasted. The heart learns, the mind observes, the body acts, and none of it requires commentary. Yet the temptation to narrate persists because the ego seeks validation. It whispers that attention equals importance, that being seen validates existence, that explanation protects from misunderstanding or judgment. But life has a way of testing the unwary. Every performance is an invitation for distraction, misinterpretation, and judgment. And the energy you expend performing is energy lost from creation, observation, and mastery. If you begin to inhabit life instead of narrating it, the next revelation becomes clear. Energy itself follows attention. Every word you speak is energy leaving your being. Every silence you maintain allows energy to consolidate. The subtle truth emerges. Where you focus energy is where life unfolds. 2. Energy follows attention, and speech releases energy. Attention is the currency of life. Every moment, every thought, every movement consumes it. When you speak, you expend it. Every explanation, every justification, every detail shared is a drain, an invisible leakage that slowly diminishes the vitality necessary to create, to act, to observe. Consider the difference between speaking and acting. Speaking is external, dispersing, and often reactive. Action is internal, concentrated, and deliberate. The person who narrates loses energy to listeners, to their own ego, and to the endless ripple of feedback, judgment, and opinion. Speaking without purpose scatters force. Silence, conversely, gathers it. Energy is subtle, yet undeniable. It manifests as clarity, focus, resilience, and presence. The mind sharpens when attention is contained. The body moves with intention. The heart remains steady. Every word spoken without intention is energy surrendered. Every moment of quiet preserves vitality. Many underestimate this principle because its effects are gradual. Speaking seems harmless, even necessary, yet over time it shapes life in profound ways. Consider how you feel after a day of explaining yourself, recounting events, or defending choices. The mind becomes heavy, the heart restless, the body tense. Energy has been spent to satisfy the perceptions of others, rather than to cultivate mastery within. Conscious attention, however, transforms life. When energy is directed inward toward thought, presence, observation, and silent action, it grows. The mind becomes clearer, the body stronger, the spirit resilient. Energy, once scattered in words, becomes concentrated force, capable of shaping outcomes, navigating challenges, and sustaining focus. The wisdom here is simple, yet rarely practiced. Speak only when words carry energy, direction, and purpose. Otherwise, withhold. Let silence do the work. Let observation guide learning. Let presence command without declaration. Energy once released unnecessarily cannot be reclaimed. But energy conserved becomes the foundation of mastery, insight, and subtle influence. And yet, attention and energy alone are not enough. If focus becomes isolated, if observation remains passive, growth stagnates. There is another principle closely tied to restraint and energy that opens the mind to a deeper clarity. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Those who overexpose dilute their power, while those who protect it cultivate strength unseen. 3. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. The inner world is sacred. It is the realm of thought, feeling, intention, and energy. When you allow unrestricted access to it, by sharing every detail, narrating every struggle, or justifying every choice, you surrender something essential: control. Not everyone deserves this access. Not everyone should witness the depths of your mind or heart. Notice how energy shifts when you reveal too much. People respond with judgment, opinion, or unsolicited advice. They filter your reality through their perception, their biases, their fears. Every unnecessary disclosure invites influence from outside forces, subtly shaping your actions, distorting your intentions, and scattering your energy. Protection of the inner world is discipline. It is restraint. It is the quiet mastery of choosing what, when, and to whom you reveal. The less that is exposed, the more coherent and powerful the inner world becomes. Privacy is not secrecy, it is cultivation. It is tending to the mind, the heart, and the energy that drives life without interference. The temptation to share comes from ego, loneliness, or fear. We believe that being understood, validated, or admired requires transparency. We forget that true influence does not require explanation. The strongest presence is silent, contained, and self-sufficient. Others respond to alignment and energy, not to detailed narratives or overexposure. Guard your inner world. Observe who you allow close. Measure what is shared. Cultivate boundaries. Energy protected becomes insight, focus, and subtle authority. Vulnerability is sacred, and its power is amplified when revealed selectively, with intention, and only when it serves growth rather than appeasement. And within this discipline emerges a subtle but profound awareness. Your energy, attention, and focus are intertwined. The life you live, the presence you hold, and the mastery you cultivate all depend on restraint, discernment, and alignment. Every word, every interaction, every act of sharing carries weight, shaping not only perception but reality itself. The question arises naturally: When words, attention, and energy are so powerful, what is the ultimate measure of mastery? How does one live fully without dispersing vital force? The answer emerges in the next principle, where silence, observation, and intentional action converge to reveal the first step toward true mastery. 4. Silence reveals who you truly are. There is a subtle power in silence. It is not emptiness. It is not a pause to be filled with noise or explanation. Silence is the mirror of the soul. When the world is loud and voices clamor for attention, it is in silence too. The truth of your being emerges. Notice how, when you stop speaking, people begin to observe you differently. Their reactions, their energy, even the tension in the room shifts. In those moments, you are no longer performing for validation. You are no longer shaping yourself for someone else's approval. You simply exist, and existence, pure and unfiltered, reveals your essence. Every word you speak is a fragment of your attention given away. The more you speak, the more pieces of yourself are scattered. But in silence, the fragments gather, they align. You see your thoughts, your fears, your desires without distortion. You begin to notice patterns in your mind. You understand the subtle currents guiding your choices. Silence is not passive. It is an active engagement with yourself. It is a space where the ego loses its grip. It is a moment where the heart speaks louder than the voice ever could. And in this stillness, clarity emerges. But silence also tests you. It confronts your need to explain. It challenges the habits of storytelling you have built around your identity. Many flee from silence because it does not flatter, it does not justify, it does not respond. Yet, it is in this confrontation that you discover who you truly are. And as you begin to inhabit this truth quietly, you notice something remarkable. The world no longer dictates your value. Your presence does. Every silence is a doorway. Step through it, and the next challenge awaits. What will you do, Bobu? Is the power that comes from being seen without words? That question quietly pulls you toward the next truth, the next mastery. 5. Explaining yourself is often a form of fear. Fear is subtle. It wears the mask of logic, courtesy, and honesty. It convinces you that you must justify, clarify, or defend. But often, when you find yourself explaining your life, your choices, or your mistakes, it is fear speaking. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood. Notice the pattern. You speak and your energy drains. You hope that words will protect you. But words cannot armor the mind. They cannot safeguard the heart. Instead, every explanation offers a doorway for doubt, both from yourself and others. When you feel the urge to explain, pause. Listen to the undercurrent of that need. What are you trying to avoid? What judgment do you fear? Often, it is not reality, but the mind's projection of it. The stories we tell ourselves about how others see us are far more frightening than the actual opinions of the world. The brave do not explain. The brave allow their actions to speak. The brave move silently, letting results and integrity carry the weight of truth. Words become unnecessary when life itself demonstrates clarity. Explaining is a temporary relief, but it is also a trap. It lures you into reliance on validation, it shifts power away from you, and it feeds the ego's need to be understood. Fear thrives there, quietly growing stronger each time the voice tries to justify what the heart already knows. When you stop explaining, something shifts inside. The mind stops chasing approval. The heart stops shrinking in response to imagined judgment. Your energy consolidates. You begin to inhabit your own space without apology, without explanation, without distraction. And yet, this fear has roots in action itself. The next lesson emerges when we see how doing without announcing is the key to completion. The subtle dance between speech, action, and mastery pulls us forward to the next insight. 6. Those who talk about plans rarely complete them. Plans are fragile. They live in the mind first, delicate and untested. And yet, there is a temptation to broadcast them, to declare goals, to share intentions, to outline dreams. Speaking of plans gives an illusion of progress. It creates the feeling that action has already been taken, that momentum exists, when in truth, it often does not. Notice how, when you tell others about your ambitions, the energy meant for execution dissipates into explanation. Each word spoken about a plan leaks vitality. It invites opinions, invites doubt, and invites interference. And sometimes, without realizing it, you begin to act in service of the story, not the reality of the work. The wise understand that action is sacred. It is private, protected, and nurtured in silence. Plans are like seeds. They need soil, water, and darkness. Announcing them prematurely exposes them to frost and predators. The energy be cultivated internally first, with discipline and care. Observe those who finish. They rarely speak of the journey before it is complete. Their lives demonstrate the principle: execution outweighs explanation. Progress unfolds quietly, imperceptibly, until the result itself becomes undeniable. Words are used sparingly, precisely, only to amplify impact, not to satisfy attention. When you hold your plans close, when you move without need for recognition, something remarkable happens. The mind aligns, the body moves with intention. Obstacles are navigated not through persuasion, but through quiet persistence. Energy is preserved, focus deepens, the work becomes effortless because it no longer competes with noise. But here is the paradox: even in action, silence alone is not enough. There is a deeper lesson awaiting. The inner discipline cultivated through silence, restraint, and protected planning must transform into something visible, something tangible, something that tests your mastery. What you do next will determine if your energy remains aligned, or if it is once again scattered by the need for external validation. And so, as action quietly ripens, the mind asks, how will you move when the world finally watches? How will you transform the unseen into reality? This question lingers, drawing you naturally toward the next truth, the next step in the path of mastery. 7. Judgment enters through open mouths. Every word spoken carries weight. Some words uplift, others woe. But the most insidious force hidden in speech is judgment. It creeps in unnoticed, disguised as advice, opinion, or casual observation. Yet every time you open your mouth unnecessarily, you create a space for judgment, both given and received. Think of the moments when you've judged others, perhaps lightly, perhaps harshly. Notice how each judgment altered the atmosphere, shifted energy, or strained a connection. Now, reflect on the times others have judged you. Even subtle words have power. They linger, echo, and influence perception. Words carry authority when spoken, but they also carry vulnerability when uncontrolled. When you speak too freely about your life, your plans, your struggles, or your successes, you invite evaluation. People project their fears, desires, and limitations onto your story. What was once a private seed of growth becomes public soil for criticism. Judgment enters quietly, then multiplies, reshaping your energy before you even notice it. The wise recognize the danger. They understand that speech is a channel, and what flows through it shapes the world around them. Words are not merely tools, they are currents of energy. Every word that defends, explains, or seeks validation is a doorway through which judgment may enter. By restraining the tongue, by speaking only with intention, you protect your inner world. Silence, or carefully chosen words, create a shield. The less you reveal, the less room there is for judgment to disturb your equilibrium. You become untouchable, not by aggression, but by discretion. Yet judgment is only one force. There is another that speaks even louder when the tongue rests. A force that strengthens clarity and sharpens perception. Silence does not only protect, it reveals. And in this revelation, the mind discovers a deeper rhythm. The next lesson unfolds quietly, yet with unstoppable force. 8. The mind settles when the tongue rests. There is a profound stillness that emerges when words are withheld. The mind, often restless, racing through scenarios, anxieties, and distractions, begins to settle. Thought, once scattered across imagined outcomes and social expectations, aligns with reality. Clarity grows naturally when the tongue rests. Consider the endless chatter inside your head. Every time you justify, narrate, or defend, the mind follows with more thoughts, building layers of noise. It is as though speaking multiplies the internal storm, stirring uncertainty and scattering focus. Yet when the tongue rests, the storm dissipates. Calm emerges. Observation sharpens. Awareness deepens. The mind is like a pond. If the surface is constantly disturbed by explanation, storytelling, or debate, the water is muddy and nothing beneath is visible. But when speech ceases, the surface stills. The reflection becomes clear. The truth, once hidden by agitation, emerges effortlessly. Resting the tongue is not weakness. It is a practice of mastery. It trains patience, it cultivates presence, and it all owes subtle truths to surface, patterns in thought, hidden impulses, the quiet guidance of intuition. In the stillness, you begin to see the currents of life as they truly are. With a quiet mind, discernment grows. You notice which relationships demand energy, which ambitions deserve attention, and which desires are merely distractions. You begin to move through life with precision, because each action is aligned with deep insight rather than reactive chatter. And yet, settling the mind is only the beginning. Awareness without direction is incomplete. The next principle is the bridge between clarity and wisdom in action. Words may rest, the mind may settle, but presence alone is not enough. There must be purpose behind every gesture, every thought, every silence. What is the measure of words that serve, not scatter? 9. Speak only when your words improve the moment. Not all speech is equal. Most words pass unnoticed. Some words inflame. A rare few illuminate. To speak only when your words improve the moment is mastery. It is discipline. It is a deliberate act of creation rather than consumption. Consider this: the room is quiet, the mind is calm. If you choose to speak, your words must enhance the space, not deplete it, must inspire, not impress, must build, not destroy. Words that serve only the ego or satisfy fleeting attention weaken the moment. Words that serve awareness, empathy, or action strengthen it infinitely. This principle transforms communication from a reactive habit into a conscious art. Before speaking, ask, does this improve the moment? Does it elevate, clarify, or empower? If the answer is no, remain silent. Let your presence, your energy, and your actions carry the weight. Speaking in this way reshapes relationships, decisions, and outcomes. Others begin to notice a quiet authority in you, not one that demands, but one that radiates. People listen differently, they feel differently. They are drawn toward the integrity of intention rather than the noise of explanation. To speak only when your words improve the moment also protects energy. It conserves attention, prevents misjudgment, and strengthens the alignment between thought and action. Every word becomes a tool, precise and potent, rather than a diversion. And yet, even this mastery is incomplete without action. Words alone are fragile. Action solidifies wisdom. The next step emerges when stillness and speech converge with movement. How will insight transform into reality? How will silence and clarity shape the unseen threads of your path? The journey of mastery continues quietly, inexorably, drawing you forward. 10. Your struggles are not lessons yet. Struggle is universal. Every human life encounters it. Pain, obstacles, mistakes, they arrive uninvited, shaping us whether we like it or not. Yet there is a profound difference between simply enduring struggle and understanding its meaning. Your struggles are not lessons yet. They are raw material, unrefined, waiting. To be observed, experienced, and integrated. To rush to interpret them, to force meaning, is to dilute their power. Lessons only appear when the experience has been fully lived, when the heart has absorbed the intensity, and when reflection emerges from silence, not chatter. Many speak too soon about their hardships. They narrate the pain, justify the past, or seek sympathy. In doing so, they attempt to extract the lesson prematurely. But wisdom is patient. It does not need applause. It waits quietly until the struggle has completed its work. Only then does the insight crystallize clear and unshakable. Struggle is a teacher that does not tolerate shortcuts. It exposes weaknesses, tests resolve, and uncovers hidden patterns in thought and behavior. When you experience without prematurely explaining, the mind becomes sharper, more discerning. You observe your own reactions, the impulses that arise, and the tendencies that keep you bound to cycles you thought you could escape. Recognize this: the desire to turn suffering into a story too soon is a form of ego. The ego wants recognition, validation, and meaning before the work is done. But the path to mastery lies not in explanation, but in endurance, reflection, and quiet integration. And when the struggle is complete, clarity emerges naturally. The lesson becomes undeniable, not because it was preached, but because it was lived. Struggles demand patience, but they also point to the power of unseen work. What happens, that hidden power begins to manifest quietly, moving the world without words? The next truth awaits in the lives of those who have mastered presence over performance. 11. Powerful people move quietly. True power is not loud. It does not seek attention or demand acknowledgement. It does not announce itself in declarations or grand displays. It moves quietly, steadily, with precision, like a river cutting through rock over centuries. The quiet ones observe, calculate, and act, not for spectacle but for impact. Notice those around you who achieve quietly. They do not feel compelled to explain. Their actions speak before any words. Their progress is invisible to the inattentive eye, yet undeniable to those who watch carefully. Every step is deliberate, every decision rooted in clarity and foresight. The loud are often reactive. They speak to impress, to persuade, or to justify. The quiet move with purpose. They conserve energy, focus on what matters, and allow results to create influence. People underestimate them until it is too late, until the work is done, and the impact is undeniable. Quiet power also protects from interference. When movements are hidden, critics and competitors cannot derail progress. Energy remains concentrated. Momentum is uninterrupted. The mind of the quiet strategist is free to see opportunities, to refine skill, to act with precision. Yet quietude is not isolation. It is not withdrawal. It is mastery over the compulsion to perform for external validation. The powerful understand that influence is earned through results, presence, and integrity, not explanation or noise. And this quiet power leads naturally to another revelation. Control over one's energy is the foundation of every accomplishment. Those who move silently also conserve, harness, and redirect energy with astonishing effect. The next lesson explores the subtle art of protecting that energy in every interaction, every decision, every thought. 12. When you overshare, you hand control to others. Oversharing is surrender. Every unnecessary disclosure, your struggles, your plans, your fears, gives away pieces of your power. You may think you are seeking connection, understanding, or validation. In truth, you are transferring control over your narrative to others. Consider the nature of influence. When you reveal too much, others form opinions about you, often unconsciously. They begin to shape their behavior in response to your shared vulnerabilities. They decide, in part, how they will treat you, what to expect, what to exploit. Every word, every detail is a thread they can pull to manipulate or judge. Those who understand mastery of self recognize the subtle danger. They speak sparingly. They reveal only what serves the moment, the relationship, or the purpose. By doing so, they retain sovereignty over their energy, decisions, and presence. Oversharing is surrender, restraint is power. Oversharing also diffuses focus, the energy that could be devoted to action, growth, and clarity is instead absorbed in explanation, justification, and reaction. The mind becomes entangled in external perceptions instead of remaining aligned with inner vision. Every piece of information released without necessity weakens the coherence of presence. But restraint is not mere silence. It is a conscious, deliberate act of self-mastery. It allows influence to remain subtle, strategic, and natural. Energy flows where it is intended, uncorrupted by the need for validation. Presence becomes magnetic because it is undisturbed by noise, and yet energy is not only protected by restraint, it is amplified when aligned with intention and disciplined action. What emerges from this alignment is both quiet and undeniable, a force that moves through obstacles, shapes environments, and commands respect without a single unnecessary word. The next lesson will reveal how listening, rather than speaking, accelerates this mastery even further. 13. Listening builds wisdom faster than speaking. The world speaks incessantly. Opinions, judgments, stories, advice, noise fills every space. Yet there is a quiet power that few cultivate, the art of listening. Listening is not merely hearing words, it is absorbing essence, observing patterns, and attuning to truth beneath appearances. When you speak, energy flows outward. When you listen, energy returns inward. Each word you absorb carries a fragment of knowledge, a piece of understanding, a perspective you may never have. Considered. Listening trains the mind to recognize subtleties, detect intentions, and perceive layers invisible to those caught in their own narratives. True wisdom grows not from what is said, but from what is heard, understood, and reflected upon. By listening, you gain insight without conflict. By observing silently, you see patterns that speech often obscures. While others are busy defending, explaining, or impressing, you are quietly learning. Every conversation becomes a mirror. Others reveal their fears, their desires, their strengths and weaknesses, not because you asked, but because you create space for truth to emerge. And in that space, your mind sharpens, your intuition grows, and understanding deepens. Yet listening is more than skill. It is discipline. The impulse to reply, to correct, to justify must be restrained. Listening asks you to be present, patient, and aware. Each pause, each silent response strengthens observation. You begin to realize that your own words are often less important than the insights flowing around you, waiting to be captured. And when wisdom emerges from listening, it creates a subtle authority. Others may speak loudly, but the one who listens knows. And knowing without speaking invites a different kind of mastery, one that energy cannot disrupt, influence cannot sway. But mastery over knowledge requires discipline over ego. And the ego, always eager for recognition, seeks expression, action, and visibility. How do you temper the need to be seen? The next lesson teaches how the discipline of solitude nourishes the mind while restraining the restless ego. 14. The ego loves an audience. The ego is relentless. It craves attention, validation, admiration. It wants to be recognized, praised, and affirmed. And the most subtle way it satisfies itself is through an audience. Every word spoken unnecessarily, every story told, every detail shared feeds the ego. It thrives when others are watching, when approval is gained, when influence is measured by visibility. Understand this. The ego disguises itself as honesty, as openness, as authenticity. It convinces you that sharing will teach, connect, or inspire. But often, the true driver is invisible. Fear of being ignored, fear of insignificance, fear of emptiness. The audience becomes a mirror for self-worth, and the more it is sought, the weaker the inner foundation grows. The wise recognize that the ego's hunger for an audience is endless. There is no satisfaction, only temporary relief. To truly gain power, you must move beyond the need to be seen, beyond the need to be heard, beyond the need for recognition. Silence becomes armor, presence becomes authority, action becomes expression. By stepping away from the constant demand for audience approval, you reclaim energy that would have been scattered. Your decisions are no longer reactive. Your path is no longer influenced by imagined expectations. The mind becomes free, and the heart becomes aligned with purpose rather than perception. Yet freedom from the audience is not achieved through withdrawal alone. Solitude is not isolation, it is a practice. And in this practice, the ego is not destroyed, but trained. It learns that value does not require display, that influence does not need applause, and that presence alone is sufficient. But even as the ego retreats, life tests the discipline of restraint. There are moments when the world demands visibility, when action must be decisive, when results must be undeniable. How do you balance presence, power, and restraint in a world that prizes expression over depth? The answer lies in the next principle: protecting growth during its most fragile stages. 15%. Growth is fragile in its early stages. Every seed begins hidden, delicate, vulnerable. Growth, whether of skill, character, or intention, is fragile at first. It requires care, attention, and protection. Too much exposure, too much explanation, too much scrutiny can stunt it, distort it, or destroy it entirely. Consider your own ambitions, your emerging talents, your early successes. When they are young, they are tender. Sharing prematurely invites interference, criticism, doubt, envy, or distraction. Energy is scattered, momentum is disrupted, and the fragile foundation is shaken. Growth requires an environment of focus, restraint, and patience. Fragility is not weakness, it is natural. Recognizing the delicacy of early progress is wisdom. Protect what is forming inside you. Do not narrate every step. Do not seek recognition too soon. Do not allow noise to dilute focus. The initial stages demand privacy, patience, and care. Growth is nurtured in quiet action, daily practice, small, consistent efforts, and disciplined attention consolidate strength. Invisible work creates an invisible momentum, and when the time is right, it manifests with undeniable force. Early effort does not need announcement. It only requires persistence. Yet the challenge remains: human nature seeks validation, recognition, and certainty. Every early step is a temptation to overshare, to explain, to justify. Discipline in the beginning ensures mastery in the outcome. It allows your energy to remain concentrated, your mind to remain clear, and your path to unfold naturally, free from distortion. And when the fragile grows strong, the unseen becomes visible, the quiet becomes impact, and the small becomes extraordinary. But reaching that point requires vigilance. Protection of energy, focus, and intention becomes the foundation for every subsequent step. What begins quietly has the potential to echo loudly, yet only if nurtured in patience, not in premature display. And from this foundation, the next principle emerges, guiding how patience and restraint transform into presence, influence, and unshakable inner strength. 16. Peace comes from not needing to be seen. There is a quiet, almost imperceptible freedom in existing without the need for acknowledgement. To walk through, The world, without seeking approval, validation, or recognition, is to move into a space untouched by turbulence. Peace is not found in accolades, praise, or the nods of others. It is discovered when the gaze of the world no longer dictates your presence, when your value is internal, unshaken by external judgment. Observe the restless. Those who are constantly performing, explaining, sharing, and narrating their lives are rarely at ease. Their minds are tangled, chasing perception, calibrating each word, each action to satisfy imagined expectations. Peace eludes them because their energy is fragmented, scattered across the judgments of countless observers. Now, imagine moving silently, intentionally, yet fully present. Imagine acting without the need to broadcast every achievement, every plan, every struggle. In this stillness, your energy is consolidated. Your actions gain clarity. Your thoughts become sharper. And, most importantly, your mind no longer fears judgment because it has been freed from dependence on visibility. Peace emerges in layers. First, the absence of need to be seen. Then, the deepening understanding that being observed is irrelevant to your purpose. Finally, the realization that presence itself carries influence far greater than words ever could. The quiet observer often commands more authority than the loudest speaker, because presence is felt on a level words cannot reach. When you release the compulsion to be seen, subtle changes occur. Anxiety diminishes. Decisions are guided not by the approval of others, but by the clarity of your own insight. Action becomes deliberate, not performative. Energy, once drained by the endless cycle of demonstration, is now directed toward growth, reflection, and meaningful creation. Yet the mind resists this freedom. The ego whispers constantly, reminding you of the lost applause, the missed recognition, the opportunities unnoticed. To resist is to practice discipline, to embrace restraint, to inhabit a space of profound inner strength. Peace does not ask for your voice, it asks for your attention, your presence, and your willingness to exist without external validation. Consider the life lived quietly, moments of action without explanation, achievements without announcement, mastery without demonstration. Each act builds a fortress of inner tranquility, a resilience impervious to the winds of judgment, envy, or opinion. In this space, even failure becomes instructive rather than humiliating. Setbacks are observed, reflected upon, and integrated because they exist only in the context of your own growth, not in the narrative others construct for you. The energy of peace is contagious, yet invisible. People sense it before they understand it. Influence is carried silently, like a river carving valleys over centuries. This is the paradox. The less you strive to be noticed, the more your presence becomes undeniable. Authority is no longer claimed, it is naturally felt. The mind learns to rust itself, the heart learns to settle, and the body moves with unshakable alignment. But freedom from the need to be seen is not merely external. It is deeply internal. It requires awareness of every subtle impulse to explain, to justify, to perform. Each internal dialogue, each thought about perception, must be observed without reaction. The mind becomes both witness and guide. The heart becomes both sanctuary and compass. This is the work of inner peace, constant attention to presence over presentation, authenticity over performance, being over display. Peace also sharpens perception. Without the distraction of seeking recognition, the senses become alert. The nuances of human behavior, the subtle shifts of energy, the quiet movements of opportunity, all are revealed. This clarity allows action that is precise, measured, and impactful. Decisions are not clouded by ego or fear, because the mind operates from awareness rather than anticipation of judgment. In this quiet mastery, there is also a profound understanding of timing. Words, gestures, and actions are deployed not for applause, but for alignment with purpose. Patience replaces urgency. Observation replaces speculation. And restraint becomes a tool not of suppression, but of power. By needing nothing from others, you gain everything within. Yet peace is tested constantly. Life presents distractions, opinions, and provocations. Each moment offers the temptation to perform, to explain, to narrate your journey. The challenge is to resist, to remain anchored in stillness, and to act only when aligned with clarity and purpose. Peace, therefore, is both a state and a practice, cultivated daily through conscious restraint and awareness. And within this cultivated peace, another insight quietly emerges. Influence does not require visibility, validation does not require words, and mastery is measured not by recognition, but by the depth of presence. The next keynote flows naturally from this principle, revealing how the life lived quietly, internally aligned, transforms energy into unshakable power, ready to impact the world without the need for display. 17. Your life becomes lighter when you stop explaining it. There is a heaviness in the constant need to explain. Every explanation, every justification, every recounting of your life carries weight. It is invisible, yet palpable, pressing on the mind and heart alike. To explain is to carry the burden of perception, the opinions of others, the assumptions of those around you, the invisible pressure of being understood. Each word, though spoken with intent, subtly fragments your energy, disperses focus, and binds attention to the fleeting judgments of the external world. When you stop explaining, a quiet liberation begins. The mind releases tension, the heart stops seeking validation, and the body moves unburdened by the constant rehearsal of narratives, energy. Once trapped in the cycle of defense and justification, is now free to flow toward growth, reflection, and action. Life itself becomes lighter, not because circumstances have changed, but because the need to perform for an audience has dissolved. Consider the moments you have explained yourself unnecessarily, perhaps to a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger. Notice the invisible cost. Each word may have momentarily relieved anxiety, yet it multiplied attention on the self, fragmented presence, and tethered emotion to external perception. The mind, which could have been calm, becomes restless. The heart, which could have been at ease, becomes anxious. The body, which could have moved freely, becomes cautious. The first step in lightening your life is awareness. Awareness of every time you narrate, justify, or perform for someone else. Awareness that the need to explain is often not about truth, but fear. Fear of judgment, rejection, or invisibility. Recognizing this is the first act of liberation. The next step is practice. Begin to withhold explanations, even when the impulse to speak is strong. Learn to observe without defending, to exist without narrating, to act without announcing. In doing so, you reclaim pieces of your energy that were previously surrendered to the opinions of others. The mind becomes quieter, the heart steadier, and the presence more profound. Stopping the explanation does not mean withdrawing from life. It does not mean hiding achievements or concealing truth. It means discerning what truly matters to share and what is best held. Internally nurtured and allowed to unfold naturally. The world does not need constant commentary to understand your path. Your life, when lived with presence and integrity, communicates more powerfully than words ever could. With this practice, subtle shifts occur. Relationships change. People respond to presence rather than explanation. Opportunities that were once complicated by opinion now unfold with clarity. Decisions are made from alignment rather than persuasion. The rhythm of life becomes less turbulent, more effortless, more attuned to the quiet currents of reality rather than the noise of perception. Yet the liberation is not merely external. There is an internal transformation that arises from this restraint. The mind becomes sharper, capable of deeper insight. The heart becomes calmer, resistant to external disturbance. The body moves with intention, no longer weighed down by the invisible chains of justification. Each action becomes purposeful, each thought precise, each moment more aligned with essence rather than expectation. Notice the paradox. By ceasing to explain, life becomes lighter, yet the depth of your impact increases. Presence, clarity, and integrity begin to radiate without effort. People sense it before they can articulate it. Influence emerges naturally, quietly, inevitably. What was once fragmented and heavy now moves with coherence, like a river flowing unimpeded toward its destination. But the practice of not explaining is tested constant. Tlai. The mind craves recognition. The ego seeks applause. Circumstances provoke defense. The challenge is not the absence of opportunity to speak, but the discipline to resist it. Each moment of restraint strengthens the inner architecture of life, building resilience, wisdom, and energy that cannot be diminished by external forces. In this lightness, another truth quietly appears. When life is no longer burdened by the compulsion to explain, focus is restored, energy is preserved, and action becomes effortless. The weight lifted from your being allows subtle yet powerful forces to emerge, forces that transform potential into reality, intention into impact, and presence into mastery. And as this force grows, it draws naturally into the next principle, the ultimate expression of restraint, focus, and quiet mastery, where your life, energy, and actions converge to create presence that is unshakable, undeniable, and completely your own. The journey continues, and the final insight awaits. 18. Mastery begins when words serve purpose, not emotion. Words are powerful. They can build or destroy, illuminate or confuse, unite or divide. Yet most people speak from impulse, reacting to emotion, feeding fear, desire, or pride. The voice becomes a tool of the ego, a means of release, a way to claim attention or control. But true mastery emerges when words are no longer used to satisfy feeling, but to serve purpose. Purpose transforms speech. When words are guided by intention rather than emotion, they become precise, potent, and potent in their silence as well. A single phrase can shift perception, clarify thought, or alter the trajectory of a conversation. Yet many squander this power by speaking to be heard rather than to be effective. The first principle of mastery is awareness. To recognize the subtle impulse to speak in reaction to anger, fear, or excitement is to intercept the ego before it acts. When the tongue waits, when the mind pauses, a new space opens, one where clarity emerges, where intention aligns with expression, and where the energy behind words is preserved rather than dispersed. Every conversation, every declaration, every story shared must be examined. Does this serve? Does this align with purpose? Does this advance clarity, understanding, or action? If not, it remains unsaid, quietly held, refined, or released only when timing, context, and intention converge. Mastery in speech also transforms listening. When words are purposeful, listening becomes deeper, richer, and more attuned. You learn to hear not only what is said, but what is implied, what is withheld, what is essential. Conversations shift from ego-driven exchanges into channels of insight, learning, and alignment. Emotion is not eradicated, it is observed. Anger, pride, fear, and longing are not denied, but they are not allowed to dictate expression. Words no longer become the battlefield for the self, they become the instrument for harmony, precision, and progress. The mind learns patience. The heart learns discernment. The presence becomes aligned with intention rather than reaction. This discipline requires practice. Daily life tests it. Provocation, misunderstanding, and impatience challenge restraint constantly. Each opportunity to react emotionally is an invitation to strengthen mastery. When the impulse arises to explain, defend, or justify, pause, observe, ask what is the purpose of this word? Does it serve clarity, alignment, or action, or merely ego, fear, or desire? Mastery over words leads naturally to mastery over life. When speech is intentional, energy is conserved, distractions dissolve, focus deepens. Decisions emerge from clarity rather than reaction. Presence becomes magnetic because it is rooted in purpose, not in performance. People respond to it instinctively because they sense alignment, authenticity, and depth. Yet mastery is not measured in restraint alone. It is measured in the results that emerge from disciplined expression. Quiet influence, precise communication, and deliberate action become the hallmarks of the mature, the wise, the unshakable. Speech becomes both a shield and a sword, used only when it carries meaning, never when it satisfies impulse. There is a freedom in this mastery, a liberation from the compulsion to justify, to explain, to narrate endlessly. The mind becomes calm, the heart steady, the body unburdened by the weight of words that serve only emotion. Life becomes lighter. Movement becomes precise, and impact becomes undeniable. And yet, mastery does not end here. The final lesson is subtle. Words are not merely tools for influence, they are mirrors of intention, reflections of presence, and echoes of aligned energy. When speech serves purpose, the unseen forces of life respond. Opportunities emerge silently. Relationships deepen naturally. Challenges are navigated with composure and insight. The ripples of intention expand far beyond the immediate, touching spaces without effort, shaping outcomes without interference. This is the culmination of all the principles you have been cultivating: silence, restraint, presence, patience, observation, reflection, action, and clarity. Mastery begins in the mind, extends through the heart, and manifests in every word, every gesture, every decision. It is not demonstrated for others. It is lived internally and expressed externally only when aligned with truth and purpose. The true test of this mastery comes not in calm, predictable moments, but in chaos, provocation, and challenge. In those moments, the ego whispers, the mind races, and the heart desires reaction. Yet mastery endures. Words are chosen deliberately. Energy is preserved and presence guides action. Life responds not to emotion, but to aligned intention. And within this alignment, the ultimate freedom appears. Freedom from the need to explain, to justify, to seek approval. Freedom from the chaos of scattered energy. Freedom from the turbulence of reaction. Life becomes a flowing stream, moving effortlessly toward its purpose, carrying influence silently, shaping reality naturally, and radiating unshakable power without the need for attention or audience. Mastery begins with words serving purpose, but it extends infinitely beyond. It is the art of living, aligned, present, and quiet in a world of noise. It is the invisible strength that shapes life, silently, deliberately, inevitably. And those who walk this path find that everything they thought needed explanation, demonstration, or validation becomes irrelevant. The world responds to the depth of their presence, the clarity of their mind, and the integrity of their actions. Every principle, every lesson, every restraint, and every insight converges here. The life lived in alignment with purpose, not emotion, becomes not only lighter, freer, and clearer, but unstoppable, magnetic, and transformative. And it begins with one simple choice: to speak only when words serve purpose, to act only when action aligns with intention, and to live quietly, fully, and deliberately in the power of your own presence. Life has been calling you all along, not to explain, defend, or perform, but to be, to inhabit the quiet spaces where energy is preserved, where clarity arises, and where true saint strength silently gathers. Every lesson, every restraint, every pause, and every observation leads to the same point. Your power is internal, your presence is sufficient, and your life does not require narration to exist fully. When words are chosen with purpose, when actions align with intention, when silence is embraced as discipline rather than emptiness, life itself becomes a mirror of mastery. The chaos of judgment, the pull of ego, the compulsion to justify, all dissolve into calm awareness. Energy is no longer scattered in explanations or defenses. It flows naturally into growth, insight, and action that matters. Understand this: mastery is not about being seen. It is not about telling your story. It is about living it fully, quietly, and intentionally. The world will notice eventually, because presence, integrity, and aligned action resonate far deeper than words ever could. Every challenge becomes a test, every pause a teacher, every silence a source of insight. Freedom comes when you stop seeking approval. Peace comes when you stop performing for others. Strength comes when you act from discipline, not desire. Influence comes when your life reflects coherence, not explanation. The mind grows sharper, the heart steadier, your energy becomes unshakable. And so, walk forward without the need to narrate. Let life unfold in quiet mastery. Let results speak while words remain measured. Let silence be your ally, restraint your guide, and purpose your compass. Each step, each moment, each breath carries intention, clarity, and presence. The path is simple, yet profound. Stop explaining. Begin living. Move with awareness. Speak with purpose. Master yourself in every thought, every action, every silence. In this, the journey is complete, not because the world has witnessed it, but because you have aligned with the truth of your own being. Presence, quiet, and purpose become the invisible force that shapes your life, transforms your world, and leaves an imprint far beyond words. This is the path. This is the practice. This is the life lived in mastery,